So I just want to explain how we've got the transmitter set up for the Cinestar. As you're aware already, starting the rotors is by moving the throttle all the way to the right. And stopping by moving the throttle all the way to the left. Make sure, however, you have got the throttle all the way back when you do it. We have, before you want to start the rotors, you need to make sure that all of these switches are down. They're away, pushed away from you. You don't want any switches in the forward position like that. So make sure they are all away. Same goes for the switches here on the top. They're all away. That means that you've basically got the helicopter in fully manual mode before you get airborne, and it's not going to do anything unexpected. So when you're flying it, we have set up this switch here, which is labelled next to it 6, 10 and 7. This is a 3-position switch, and you want to make sure when you take off, ideally, that it's in position 6. You can take off if it's in position 10, not too much of a problem. What it does, when you switch it to position 10, you hear a beep from the helicopter, and you've now switched it from fully manual mode into GPS mode. Once the helicopter is flying, if you switch it into GPS mode, it will hold its position. Even if the wind is trying to drift, it holds its position using its GPS lock. And you can fly the helicopter in GPS lock. It's dynamic, so you can move it from position to position, but as soon as you let go of the controls, it will hold that same position. However, it won't hold altitude if you've only got that mode selected, but it will hold its position. If you want to make the helicopter fly back to hover over your initial starting point, as long as you've initially set GPS position, which you did right at the start by moving the throttle up and left before you start the rotors, waiting for the beeps and bring back, you would then move this switch up to position number 7 all the way forward. The helicopter will now climb to the altitude that's been set in the internal settings, and then will fly back and hover over the initial start point. You can then switch it back into GPS mode or fully manual mode and fly it and land it yourself. This switch here, which currently has a we've put some red tape on it to identify it, is the altitude hold tape. When it's away from you, there is no altitude hold, so you are controlling the altitude of the helicopter. Once you switch that forward, you'll hear that beep, and it will now switch into altitude mode. And what it will do, it will attempt to maintain its altitude, and that's based on barometric pressure. There's a small little altimeter just tucked right in underneath the flight controller, and it will hold its altitude. It will fluctuate a bit depending on air pressure changes if it's a fairly windy day, but that will give you altitude hold. However, it is slightly dependent on the throttle. If the throttle is in its mid-zone, it will hold the altitude, but if you bring the throttle down and out of the mid-zone, you can descend with altitude hold on, and then it will stop, and once you put it back into the middle position, you let go, and it will hold the altitude it's got to. And if you increase the throttle, it will climb until you put it back to the centre, and then it will attempt to maintain the altitude that's set there. So that's the setup of the controller.